What if the unthinkable just happened? What if a former president of the United States openly rejected an impeachment ruling and Congress responded with force? Tonight, Washington is on edge after a constitutional crisis scenario that experts say would shake the foundations of American democracy to its core. This is not just politics. This is power versus power, and the stakes could not be higher. In this developing constitutional showdown, reports suggest that Donald Trump has publicly rejected an impeachment ruling handed down by the House and upheld in the Senate. In a fiery statement, he allegedly called the ruling illegitimate and politically weaponized, signaling he would not comply with the outcome. Surprised, that declaration instantly triggered alarm bells across Capitol Hill. Sources inside United States Congress say emergency meetings were held behind closed doors. Lawmakers debated what enforcement authority exists if a president or former president holding power refuses to recognize constitutional removal mechanisms. Legal scholars note that the U.S. Constitution provides impeachment and removal processes, but it does not clearly outline physical enforcement procedures in a scenario of outright refusal. The situation escalated when security activity reportedly increased around federal buildings. Speculation quickly spread online that elements of the United States military could be placed on standby to protect federal institutions and ensure continuity of government. It is important to clarify. Under U.S. law, the military does not act independently in political disputes. Any deployment domestically would require strict legal justification under the Insurrection Act or related federal authority. Constitutional experts warn that if a commander-in-chief were to reject lawful removal, the country would enter unprecedented legal territory. The Supreme Court could be forced into emergency review. State governors might assert control over National Guard units. Federal agencies would face a loyalty test, not to an individual, but to the Constitution itself. This is where the real battle would unfold, not on the streets, but inside institutions. Markets would likely react instantly. The dollar could fluctuate sharply. Global allies would demand clarity. Adversaries would watch closely. Historically, even the perception of instability at the executive level sends shockwaves through financial systems and defense alliances. The world depends on predictable American governance. Political analysts say such a confrontation would ultimately come down to institutional alignment. Would cabinet officials enforce removal? Would federal law enforcement comply with congressional authority? Would courts intervene within hours? The U.S. system was built with checks and balances precisely to prevent concentration of power. But it has never been fully stress tested in a modern refusal scenario of this magnitude. Supporters of Trump would likely frame the impeachment as partisan warfare. Opponents would argue it is the rule of law in action. The country could see protests, counter-protests, and a media firestorm unlike anything since Watergate, or even the events of January 6th. The difference here would be the direct clash between branches of government. At the heart of this crisis lies one question: who ultimately holds power in the United States? The presidency, Congress, the courts, or the Constitution itself? Size. Tonight, this remains a hypothetical but deeply serious constitutional scenario. There is currently no verified confirmation of forced military removal. However, the debate underscores how fragile democratic norms can become when political polarization reaches extreme levels. If such a moment ever arrived, the outcome would define American democracy for generations. Would institutions hold, or would political force override legal order? That answer would determine not just the future of one leader, but the stability of the republic itself. This is a developing constitutional discussion. Stay with us for continued analysis as we break down the legal, political, and global implications of any escalation in Washington.